Welcome to Newsreel Talk. I'm Eric Yallick, and I'm here with Melissa Dungan, Misty Odenweller, and Tiffany Nelson, who are running for the Conroe ISD School Board in the November 8th, 2022 general election. And I want to start out with a question about money, because that's what I'm interested in. Why would someone who doesn't have children in the Conroe ISD schools want to vote for you if all they are is a taxpayer?
That's a good question.
Okay.
60%, as you know, of our taxes go to Conroe Independent School District. So whether you're you have a child that's a student there, or you have a grandchild, or a friend, or a neighbor, that's a lot of money coming from your pocket. So you should be concerned with where your tax dollars are going, and considering, the amount of taxes that are going up and down. And is there going to be a bond? Is there not going to be a bond? Are we at the no new revenue rate? What are our appraisals doing? It certainly should be something that all taxpayers are involved in.
But what are the three of you going to do to make any difference to my taxes if all I am is a taxpayer and I don't have any children in the school district?
Well, we can control that by no new net revenue. I mean, they can't raise. They're doing things with our property taxes and with our school appraisal district and all the tax ratios and so forth, that they make it look like they're saving us money, but in reality, or they're not raising taxes on us, but in reality they are. And so what we really need to do, especially in an economy like we are right now, we very desperately need to look at our budgets and our budget and everything that we are spending money on, so that we continue to be good stewards of the money.
Well, why doesn't the Conroe ISD board even look at the budget? They approve a budget. It's 1 page long.
That's a good question.
Why don't they do anything else?
We've asked the same question, actually. We've actually wanted to know, has any sitting member ever taken the entire budget, a copy of it, and really dove into it to see what it is that they're spending money on? And the answer, we can't really get one, that they've not seen the entire budget.
Can you even find the budget anywhere?
We haven't been successful.
You know, it used to be that on the conroeisd.net, I think, website, which is their official website, you could actually go in and look at the budget. And it was about 300 pages long, and it showed department by department. So not only, each school, but each department within the schools, how much money they were spending, what they were spending it on. And, it didn't show by name of employee necessarily, but I mean, it did definitely show teachers were getting this amount, custodial people were getting this amount, and it was divided up by job function in the school district. Now that Darren Rice, the CFO, has gotten all these financial transparency awards that are given to him basically by other governmental agencies, he's not showing any of that information. And in fact, all they're getting is a 1-page, they being the Board of Trustees, get 1-page summary.
Yes.
That's like about 12 lines, and it says, we're asking you to approve a budget of $625 million. What's going to happen when the three of you are on the board?
We're going to change that.
How?
Well, we're going to push to get the information ourselves, because we are convinced, I am convinced, that the sitting members have not recently, like you just mentioned, seen the entire budget. So that's something we want first and foremost. And then we want to change the way that they share it, with the district shares it when they do their presentations to the board for the public.
Okay, well, so, if you look at the Montgomery County government, they certainly do show you their budget. You can go online to mctx.org, go down to the budget office, and find a lot of the documents, and you'll find a several hundred-page budget available. Now, they started playing some hide-the-ball tricks as well, but one of the things that both Conroe ISD and the county government claim is that they have really fought for the taxpayers because they have reduced the tax
Right.
rates every
Mhm.
single year.
Right.
So isn't that great news?
It's
Isn't it
funny.
though?
My opponent actually just last week said that the district now has a feature on the website, and I did some searching today where you can actually go and there's transparency. You can see every check that the district has written. I was not, again, successful at finding that information today,
Right.
so I'm going to keep searching.
I have seen that in the past. Recently, I haven't been able to find it either.
Yeah.
But why is reducing the tax rate? I mean, isn't that something that ought to make Skeeter Hubert, the president of the school board, and Datron Williams, my favorite school board member? I mean, isn't that something that makes them heroes by
Sure.
reducing the
It
tax
makes
rate
it
every
look
year?
like it for sure, but when you factor in the super high appraisals that are going on by a committee that is appointed by them, as including others, it kind of makes you wonder.
Okay, well, so let me explain your answer a little bit. Basically, the way that taxes are determined when you pay property taxes is by a product. You multiply the tax rate times the tax appraisal. The tax rate is set by the governmental authorities, so the Conroe ISD Board of Trustees, or the County Commissioners Court, or the ESD Board of Directors, or whatever it is. But then they also elect the board members of the
Correct.
Montgomery County Appraisal District Board of Directors.
Correct.
Yep.
And that board of directors is what sets the policy
Right.
for the chief appraiser and tells them,
Yes.
here's how we want you to
This is what we
appraise.
need.
And right, here's what we need, and here's the parts of the county that we want you to raise the appraisals on this coming year. And they have it zoned out, and they do that, okay?
Right.
And so what ends up happening is that, like in Conroe ISD, I forgot what the percentage increase was for this year, but it was a huge percentage increase in
Yes,
property tax
huge.
appraisals.
Mhm.
And then what happened is that Darren Rice, who's the chief financial officer, knows then how much money, if we
It's an algebra
raise the
equation,
rate
isn't it?
or lower the
And
rate.
it's you take it this time, we'll take it the next time.
Yep.
Right. So what's the no new revenue rate then, ladies?
That would be where that equation balances itself out, and you're actually not gaining any revenue, even though you've quote unquote lowered the taxes. You're not. The no new revenue rate would be starting where there's no new revenue.
So are you, because I think Misty, you were the person who mentioned
Yes.
that. Are you saying then that your goal is going to be to stay at or below the no new revenue rate for future budgets?
At least for now. I mean, yes, we are an exploding school district and we have needs. However, our economy is in a very dire situation and we do not need to burden our taxpayers anymore. And we are in a very affluent district. And I understand there's the whole Robin Hood issue and all the money we collect, we don't all get to keep in our district and all of that. I understand that part of it, but we have got to figure out a way as a board to figure out how we can operate and
Yeah.
be good stewards of the money that our taxpayers are paying and that we are keeping here. And there's all this talk about a golden penny and a copper penny, and when we trade out different tax rates and all these different things, that it ends up costing us. And it either costs our taxpayers or it costs us money that we don't get from the state. And it's the most convoluted function that I've ever seen. And that's not on Conroe ISD. That's a statewide thing. But for us, we want to see, at least for now, to hold firm and steady where we are without taking more money from our residents and our taxpayers.
Okay, but let's be fair to Curtis Null and Darren Rice and all their cohorts. You said that we're in an exploding school district. What do you mean? What's exploding?
The population.
The number of houses that are being built.
And so isn't that the point?
Yeah,
Exactly.
but that means we've got more, with the more houses being built,
Right.
means we have more taxpayers paying in.
Right.
So it
And our
should,
schools are just getting bigger and bigger. We're already at 3,000 students when we were projected to get 1,500 students. Many of our schools are over capacity right now.
But it tells
so-
me that the overcapacity issue tells me that the projections that the district has been making have been off, right? Because
So it almost makes you think that when they brag about the tax rate going down,
Yeah.
and even when they talk about the appraisals going up, and you look at those trends, that really what they're doing is they're lying to us. Because the real number
Yeah.
that they ought to be looking at is what is the median amount of money that a taxpayer in Conroe ISD is paying each year.
We like to use
By
the
the-
word
Transparency.
transparency.
That's our favorite.
but the real number. You're right. That's the transparency, but that's Darren Rice talking. But I mean, the real number is the median amount that
Yeah.
you're paying in taxes, and that number is going up.
Mhm.
I mean, there's no
Mhm.
question
By design.
about it.
Absolutely.
Right.
But shouldn't we also be offsetting, holding firm with our growing county? If our school district is growing and we're growing in numbers of homeowners, or building of homes, then that means that's more money coming in to our coffers without having to raise the taxes across the board. So that's, to me, it's like that's part of the lack of transparency. You're still collecting money. You're growing as a district
with those houses,
with those
come
new
students
houses
that
coming
come
with
in.
higher property taxes. We don't need to keep raising the tax rate.
It's overly adjusted.
We need to be better stewards of our money. I mean, we're spending money on their CISD is spending money on things that they probably should not be spending money and wasting taxpayer dollars on, is considering the flyers that they're mailing out.
Oh
and
my goodness.
That's
yes.
costing
But
taxpayers
you don't think
too.
those flyers contribute to education?
Not at all.
No.
Well,
Okay.
I
don't.
love the fact that there are things that we do well in our district, and we
Like
definitely
what?
well, we obviously produce great athletic teams.
Yeah.
We have great robotics teams. We have
great teachers. There
I
are
was just
great
about to say that
teachers.
we have great teachers.
We have great kids. We have great students.
But we need to choose where we spend that money.
Mhm.
Did we need to send a printed 11-page, 15-page, something, year in review, full color thing out to, 100,000 homes? And the money that cost, when we have a lack of diagnosticians, a lack of supplies for paraprofessionals, a lack of
Bus drivers,
Bus
cafeteria
drivers,
workers, the list goes on.
just down to the whole bottom line of that we have students not being identified and tested by age 8 because we're putting it off. Why?
To keep numbers down. They want these numbers, these percentages to be reflected, and then they want to give out awards or accept awards for all of these numbers that they're showing. But we have kids that, like Misty said, are in
Slipping
age
through
8
cracks.
before they're ever diagnosed with dyslexia.
They need to
Or
be
other learning
diagnosed before
disabilities.
age 8. So anyway, my point is that we could be using that money better, our
Okay,
community.
well, so there's a process that I want to talk to you about, because I have to tell you that the three of you kind of scare me in a way, all right? And here's what the process is. Now, first of all, go into the full details. Tell me all of the elected official positions that each of you have held before. Go ahead. Zero.
Zero.
How about you,
Student
Melissa?
council
You are the student council? All right.
and
Okay.
class favorite.
Oh, well,
Oh.
there you go. That's kind of scary. But so here's what the process is, and maybe you've already been taken over by the process because you were elected to the student council.
Right.
But what happens is after you get elected, you take the oath of office. Now everything's fine up until that point, but then as soon as you take the oath of office, what happens is that there is a horrible creature, and he reaches his ugly green arm around you, and it's just covered with warts. And he welcomes you to the group of people who are elected officials. Congratulations, you are now one of us. And people really do start to change. And there's a huge amount of pressure on people to go along and not, make a big scene in board meetings. I mean, I saw that happen to Dale Inman just, I think, 2 meetings ago,
Yes.
where they really, or no, 1 meeting ago, where they browbeat him
And before
because he
that.
would dare talk to them.
Speak up.
And basically, Dale's kind of a normal guy in that respect.
Mhm.
He shut up. And so, the long green arm in that instance wasn't reaching around him, it was kind of swatting him.
Mhm.
So my question is to each of you, let's start with you, Melissa.
Sure.
What about you tells us that you will not succumb to the pressure of the political establishment, because you're going to have a lot of power and you're going to get to meet with Null and Rice and I forgot what the number 2 guy's name is behind Null.
Chris Hines.
Chris Hines,
That's
Dr.
correct.
Hines, right. And, you're going to get to meet with Carrie Galatis, the general counsel, and all of these really neat people behind the scenes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think they're really neat people. I'm not going into this with the impression that those people are neat, and I've let them know that. Like, I've not made any secret about where I stand as far as our district goes. I think a lot of times what you're saying is right,
Okay.
that people go in wanting to go along to get along because they find it important to be liked by Curtis Knoll or Carrie Gladys, those aren't people that I'm asking acceptance from. I'm responsible to the people that elect me, and that's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this, and I've not made any secret of that. I'm not doing this because I want to be liked by Curtis Knoll. I'm not doing
So
this.
how are you going to resist the pressure of that green arm going around you?
Well, first of all, I am a person that is not afraid of working hard and against the flow. I've done that all my life. In fact, in this race, I've proven that, in the sense that while I've gone unopposed, I have been out there just as hard as these 2 ladies working for this. So that's one
Yeah.
that I'm showing. 2, I'm going to call on the constituents. One of the reasons I've worked so hard at this is that I wanted those votes behind me. I wanted people feeling the urge and need to vote for me, so that when I'm up there and the pressure is on and they say the only reason you are sitting here is because you were unopposed or a clerical error, I can say, no, the reason I am here is because of all these people that voted for me and they stand behind me. And so when I say I'm going to call on them, we need them to support us and do their part also to put the pressure on the other board members and the administration. So it isn't just me or us, it's our community coming together. We will be up there at the helm or at the leadership, but we need them with us in this battle. That's how I will do it.
It's funny because what I've heard on the street about the reason that you're unopposed is not what I've read in the Golden Hammer. What I've heard on the street is that the reason you're unopposed is because Skeeter Hubert was too afraid to run against you, and that's why they did that little musical chairs game and had him appointed instead to Scott Moore's seat.
Are people saying that?
What?
People are saying that, actually.
I've heard it, but I also heard the man that called me to talk to me before it became public. And at that time, I honestly believed the hurt that I heard in his voice, and I felt bad about the situation. And I told him that. So, but then after the shenanigans that followed, I really questioned it. And I don't know. I have no idea. I will never know. It's not really important at this point. My job is to buckle down and do what I need to do. As unpopular as it will be in administration and with other board members, my job will be to stand for the people and the children. The children of this district deserve better.
Tiffany, how do we know you're going to resist the long green arm with warts on it?
Well, because I report to one person, and it's not Dr. Null, and it's God, it's Jesus Christ. That's who I report to. So everything that I do and try to do is reflective of my conservative values. My husband and I share 6 children, and 5 of them are Conroe ISD students. So my responsibility is to them, and my responsibility is to all the other kids in the district and all the other families of children and grandparents of children, and my responsibility is to respect them with my conservative values.
Okay, so I will tell everyone that I warned you in advance that I was going to ask these questions, and
Oh, geez.
I want quick answers.
Okay.
Other than the Bible, what's your favorite book, Melissa?
I really don't have one. I've been thinking about it since you warned us.
Okay.
I don't have
That's
one.
not a good answer. Your
Mine
answer,
are
Misty?
mine would be Fervent by Priscilla Shire or her Bible study, Full Armor of God.
Okay, Tiffany?
Plug for my husband, Dr. Jason J. Nelson has written a book called The Life of the Party. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes Noble. It's a fantastic read.
All right, that sounds fantastic. All right, what is your favorite state besides Texas, Melissa?
Louisiana, it's my home state.
Okay.
Original.
All right.
How can you have a favorite state other than the great state of Texas?
Okay, come on, that's a bad
Florida.
answer.
I like Florida.
Florida.
Yeah,
Okay.
we love to go and relax in nature as far as the beach and relax and unplug and relax. So, but yeah.
Okay, Tiffany?
I'm a former Miss Ohio, so that's my second favorite.
All right, cool. What is your favorite movie, Tiffany?
I mean, lighthearted. I have a ton of favorite movies. That was such a part of my childhood growing up. But I think if you were to just boom, and it changes every day, but today I'm thinking The Princess Bride because it's hilarious and there's so much humor. Even the more times you watch it, you pick up on little nuances, and so I love it.
I haven't thought about that
I
movie in a
know,
long time,
right?
but it's a good movie.
I know. Well, I
Yeah.
was thinking of that because Halloween costumes. I have to go to a Halloween party where adults dress as costumes, and
Okay.
I thought I might dress as Buttercup and my husband be the Dread Pirate Roberts and just call
Oh,
it a
there
day.
you go.
Yeah.
All right, Misty?
I would say, I have to say this one because it's our family movie, My Cousin Vinny.
That's a good one.
That's a
My
good
husband's an
movie. That's a good
attorney. My son went to college in New York. My kids, sad, this is so embarrassing. My kids grew up having watched that, and there are so many lines from that
Quoting it,
movie
right?
that are just family. You've got to watch it in order to be considered a part of our family.
It's a
Fair.
great movie.
That's a good
truly.
one.
All right, Melissa.
All right, I'm going to go back with Louisiana, but still Magnolias.
Oh,
Oh,
It's a
that's a good
classic.
movie,
that's a
too.
good one.
Yeah.
All right, my compliments to all three of
There
you
you
on
go.
picking good movies. Even though none of you picked Kill Bill Volume 2.
Oh,
How about you, Billy Graff? What's
no.
yours?
Yeah.
Oh, anything Star Trek.
Anything Star Trek.
Ah.
I
Okay.
love the Star Trek.
What's yours? Is it
Mine
Kill
is
Bill?
Kill Bill
oh, I
Volume
thought,
2,
okay.
actually.
All right, but it's volume 2. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Sorry about that. Okay, so now there's an interesting thing with Conroe ISD, and that is that when you get elected, you'll take the oath of office, and then after you take the oath of office, they're going to hand you some papers. And the papers they're going to hand you are called the Conroe ISD Board Member Rules of Conduct. And it is actually, I think it's 3 pages, it is 3 pages. And basically, it says things like, board members shall respect the rule of the administration and will not encroach on administrative duties or attempt to micromanage the affairs of the school district. So are y'all going to agree to those?
No.
To that?
No,
No.
sir.
So you're going to encroach on the role of the administration.
Definitely.
All right. Board members shall refer to the superintendent any and all complaints received by them from citizens. You going to go along with that?
Possibly, depending on what it is and what the importance of sharing it with them is, but we're the board. The board is the authority. The board,
Ultimately.
yeah, and the buck stops with us. Everything
Okay.
lands on our desk.
Well, I mean, that's what the Texas Education Code
That's
says.
right, 11.151.
11.151, right. Okay, here's my favorite one. Board members will not conduct investigations on their own of complaints by citizens, including students, parents, and employees. Y'all are gonna agree to that?
No,
Then we've got board members will not circumvent the superintendent and communicate with the staff about any matter within the purview of the superintendent without first informing and obtaining the approval of the board. Will you do that?
Of the border.
Of the board?
no.
You mean you're going to actually talk to people inside of the district without the approval of the full board?
We already are
We do. Well, we,
Oh, well, yeah, but you're not on the board yet.
presumptive.
Okay. Board members shall channel all requests for information through the superintendent. You agree to that?
no.
Board members will not individually undertake to observe the performance of employees, including classroom teachers, for the purposes of evaluating their performance. You agree to that?
No.
So what's going to happen then when Carrie Galatis comes to you and hands you this policy and asks you to sign it?
We'll mark it up and hand it back to her.
Okay. What are you going to do, Misty?
Exactly the same thing. I told you I was married to an attorney. I've learned I don't sign anything without going through it and making sure I understand what's in it and marking out what I won't agree to, and no matter what the contract
We
was.
encourage parents to do that with
Absolutely.
everything the district hands
That is
down.
exactly
so why
the
would we
truth.
be different?
I've said that about the school handbooks. The school handbooks are now electronic, 100 pages in length. And I've told every parent on social media, in conversation, you need to print those babies out and mark out what you do not agree to, because you are signing off on a lot of things that you don't know, because they're being required to sign them electronically,
Yes.
and they're not reading through everything. Who
Yeah, who would?
would?
Okay.
So
Perks of Being a Wallflower. Great book or not?
No.
What's wrong with it?
It's an explicit rape scene that shows you, it's very inappropriate, it's not age appropriate at all for our children.
Is it okay, though, to have it in the library?
No, sir.
Not in a school library.
the Texas Penal Code identifies what obscenity clauses are. And as a district, we should adhere to the state minimums, of what they expect of us.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to speak against the actual book, Perks of a Wallflower. I will just simply say.
Oh, I will.
I'm just simply going to say
Yeah.
that book has no
Correct.
merit. Anyway.
Our kids have to be a certain age to go to the grocery or the gas station to buy alcohol, buy pornography, buy cigarettes. But they can go to the library and buy obscene material. Or no, I'm sorry, not
They
purchase
get it for
but
free.
they can check it out
Right.
and obscene material that's just not age appropriate.
And this stuff is also being put in our classrooms as well. So that's
Mhm.
So
another
isn't that
angle.
okay?
No,
Why? Why?
because it almost bypasses
Because it violates the Texas Penal Code.
the policies don't apply the same way. So that's one thing we're really going to be stronger on, is to make sure that what's available in the library and in the classroom is appropriate for our
Okay.
students.
Parents should have the final say on what content they feel is appropriate for their children. And that book in particular is being used in a 10th grade English class, doesn't even meet the genre that it's supposed to be representing. And then
What genre is that book supposed to be
Modern-
representing?
it's like,
Something
it's supposed to be modern. I'd have to go back. I'm just saying that I will find that out and I
We
will
can let
message
you
you
know.
and let you
Okay.
know.
Yeah,
But
I'd like to know.
But I know that it was a discussion that was had with the principal and
a parent.
a parent, and the book didn't even meet the genre that they were saying. But here's my point on it more than anything. The bottom line on it is they do not give a number of books to choose from that don't violate the penal code, that are appropriate on interest level and content for the children.
What about Catcher in the Rye? Have any of y'all ever read that?
I have not read it.
By J.D. Salinger? I mean, I read
Years
it
ago.
at St. Mark's when I was in the 10th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, are you familiar with that book at all?
I can't speak to its content.
Other classics have been removed, like To Kill a Mockingbird is removed. Dr. Seuss has been removed.
So shouldn't To Kill a Mockingbird be removed?
I think it's just based on the era that it comes from and understanding. This is Perks of a Wallflower is a modern day book that someone reads to explicitly go through and how to rape. That's something that should not, that's completely different than something that's era. There are things in the Bible that are era related. So
Okay, but the problem with To Kill a Mockingbird, to go back to that, because I'm not going to let you off on that one, is that, and actually I saw the play in Washington, D.C. This summer, and boy, you really get the full brunt of the language in there. I mean, they use the N-word
Yes.
repeatedly. There's
Sure.
a lot of racist comments.
Mhm.
And so my question is, shouldn't all that stuff be taken out of the schools?
The classics, or what do you mean?
Yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird, I'd call it a classic.
Well, if that's taken out and they deem that obscene, then they should deem other things obscene.
But should it be taken out?
If it's obscene, yes.
No, To Kill a Mockingbird, because it's got racial epithets in it.
We have warts in our history. We have literature that was written in those time periods. We have horrible things that happened in our history, but the way we learn from them is by knowing the history and not repeating it. So I don't believe you remove books. You just don't make them inappropriate ones available for children. Now, as far as removal of books, I'm just not for that. I just think you need to have appropriate level books for children.
Okay. Last thing I want to ask you about. Now, look, I live in a very protected world of reading legal opinions and messing around with differential equations. Okay. And so I read something on y'all's Facebook page, Mama Bear's Rising.
Mhm.
And I have to tell you, I have no idea what it's about. Really, I don't. And I'm not being facetious at all.
Okay.
I guess it's a meme, and it says, transgender is not the end game. Transhumanism is. You can't have human rights if you're not considered human. What does that mean? I have no idea, truly.
I'm not familiar
We
with
don't, there are other people that admin on that page, so I'm
Okay.
not sure
that.
exactly
Actually,
which
that's
meme you're
not
talking
our
about.
page. That is a page that we are members of.
Okay.
But even beyond that, people are able to post certain things. It doesn't
Okay.
mean that we,
That doesn't mean
that
that.
wasn't
That's
one of
fair.
mine. But
Yeah.
the truth is, we are moving towards a transhumanism, like the lack of humanistic
What is
life.
transhumanism? I don't know what that means.
What I was getting at there is just using their term, but there are a lot of things happening in society to make us give up freedoms and understanding of what is freedom and what are, losing just a variety of different things in our lives. And that is where we are transitioning out of even just being human. I mean, just being
The sex we were born as.
well, I was just referring to just that they being controlled like robots or just peons surviving in a world doing what we're told in that regards. That's how I look at it.
Should sexuality of any kind be taught in schools?
Only if you sign off on it.
And only,
Only if who signs off on it?
The parent, guardian.
Parents should have the right to know if their child is going to be receiving sex ed. They can sign off on it if they do not want their child to go through the sex ed program, and then be a parent and teach your own child about sex ed. So yeah, sexuality, no, a parent should have the right to decide whether or not they
But
want their
human
children.
anatomy is all we should be teaching.
Right.
Human
Okay, but that's in a
anatomy.
biology class.
Ye-
right?
Yes, human anatomy and
Appropriate,
as far as
Mhm.
at birth, what you were born as,
Mhm.
and that these are this is the body, this is the parts, this is our body, how it works,
Yeah.
that type of thing. Anything
Yeah.
beyond that is not for the school to
How about a
educate.
gay pride flag?
No place for it in the classroom.
Why?
How about a Trump flag?
Well, no, but
Because
why
the
not a gay
basics
pride
of-
flag?
Because that is espousing a personal opinion, belief,
Mhm.
whatever. That's not important in the classroom.
Yeah.
If
And
someone
changes-
wants to,
Shouldn't we teach our children to be accepting of all beliefs?
we should be teaching our children
Math,
math,
science.
reading, science, language arts, how to be kind to one another. It
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with when you teach them to love one another, not hate, and not to divide, and not to tear down, and not to oppress.
Mhm.
Then you will teach them to love all.
Mhm.
And I think one thing we've forgotten as educators or as humans in general is that children are kind. They're
Yes.
born
They're born
kind.
that way, yes.
So I see a lot of this kindness, be kind, be kind. That's natural to
Mm.
children. And it's a shame that we're taking that away from them. That is a natural
Mhm.
instinct.
Instinct, yes.
If there's one thing that you want to get done, if you're elected to the board, I guess it's a 4-year term,
Mhm.
what is that one thing that you want to accomplish, Tiffany?
Gosh, one thing, I mean, I think right now, just because I've seen them in my very own hands, is probably the books. It's very disturbing. And so that's definitely something, you know, when you're seeing graphic depictions of sex scenes, and certainly something that I just don't.
When you say the
want.
books, you mean you want to take them out?
The obscene ones, yes.
Out of the libraries and the classrooms?
Yes, I would like it, yes, I would like to get them out of there. Mhm.
Okay. Misty?
I can't just choose one. I'm going to choose two real quickly. One would be putting the parents back in the driver's seat of understanding what is happening in our districts and the transparency for them and all that that entails, and working in partnership with our teachers. That bringing back the relationship between parent and teacher would be my first one. And the second one would be making sure that we are servicing our students, all of our students, meaning educationally wise. Our learning disability students are being shortchanged right now, and I think we need to make major changes in that area.
Yeah,
Melissa.
she took mine, but I'll
You can
elaborate
do
a little
it.
more.
Yes.
Is the parent-teacher bond? I think that's
Yeah.
being broken down earlier than ever before. I think in elementary, that's where that bridge was formed, and I see because I have young children, I see that being an area that I want to focus on rebuilding that teacher-parent relationship, so that can be carried over into our intermediates and our junior highs and our high schools, because what I see is a breakdown of that in general, and we wonder why our kids are the way they are by the time they get to high school. And I think it's happening earlier than ever before. It's not even formed in the elementary levels
Like it used to.
like it was.
The one thing I know that we all feel, we would love to see our teachers have a much more quality work environment,
Yes.
which is probably one that we would all put near the
It's
top of
huge.
our
Yeah,
if
they're
we
not
had to
able to be
choose
millionaires.
one.
I want to
Yes.
bring respect back to teaching. I do. I think
Okay.
we've taken a lot of that away from teachers.
Tiffany Nelson, Misty Odenweller, and Melissa Duncan. Thank you all. Wish you the very best. One thing I do beg from you is please go easy on my pocketbook because I'm out of money.
We all are.
Wish you all the best of luck in your election.
Thanks,
Thank
Eric.
you for being
Thank you for
on
this opportunity.
Newsreel Talk.
Thanks, Eric.
And thank you all for watching.